into positions of hopelessness and helplessness. The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America. No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human.
We should do like 10.
Do like 10 minutes. We can cut this, but don't worry about it.
All right. No, this show's starting. Sorry, it threw me off. Music makes the people come together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's the most important part is the yeah.
Oh, wait,
I
I'm
just
not
walked into the
recording
room, and you two are really beautifully harmonizing right now.
We're coming together. The music is making us do it. The music.
I love it when we're grooving together.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pod Damn America, the music edition. Music makes the people come together.
New
All
podcast.
that she wants is another baby. Is another baby. Nah, showing ya, mama bishi, mama.
Hot takes.
We're just violating as many copyrights as we can right now.
I'm trying to remember the Pure Moods commercial from the 90s. It had like Enya on it and stuff. Sail away, sail away, sail away.
Oh, you mean the like those commercials that would just play little bits of all the songs?
Yeah.
Like Lady in Red, like that?
Yeah, it was almost the whole album, and you'd just be like, well, I just heard it.
Oh, yeah, dude. I remember Michelle Branch had one of those. Buzz ballads. Anything that ran on the Toonami network, I was fully exposed to.
Yeah. I mean, this is a little bit of a precursor to the conversation we're going to have with the Resonate people, but music is a good example of how art is always like absurd in its like sort of being forced to fit into capitalism. Those commercials are really stupid. You shouldn't have to go turn on your TV and then hear 10 seconds of a bunch of 80s songs and then go, maybe I'll listen to Enya. Enya should just exist. And then you can go listen to her,
Just let Enya exist, I guess, is all we're saying.
Who can know where the road goes?
One of the best commercials I've ever seen.
This is gonna be a good episode based on this part where we all guess what song sounded like.
Have you seen the commercial where Jean-Claude Van Damme is between two trucks? One leg is on one truck, two trucks, one leg per truck. Is moving forward, and he does the splits, and that Enya song is playing. It's really beautiful.
It's not a commercial for music, but it is very serene in its own way.
Yeah.
He's like old for it. He's like not young for that.
No.
You watch that commercial and imagined what the wind must feel like on his balls? Because that's all I could think about, is that they're just hanging. And that there's got to be like the power, like when you're driving a truck and you stick your arm out the window, it's a lot of wind,
I have music insights. We should all share our music insights. But first, let's share our names.
Oh, right. We used to tell people who we were in this podcast. Sorry, it's devolved into insanity in the last few weeks. None of us are allowed to leave the house. I'm Jake Flores, reporting from Texas today, which is why I sound extra Texas style. That's Anders Lee.
Anders Lee here.
That's Alex Patek.
And I'm rapping Alex Patek, yo.
Oh, yeah, you are rapping Alex Patek. You, on a recent episode, I think, we might have been recording, mentioned that you're a rap guy, and it blew my mind because I didn't know you listened to music, and we've been friends for quite some time. We just never talk about music.
Well, this is, I feel like, what we could talk about for this thing. I, like a lot of people, I have a hard time like finding new music since college. Like, because when you're outside of like a cluster of people who are like, you should listen to this. I just listened to the same 10 artists I found 8 years ago over and over. And if they have a new thing, I'll put it out. I would not go around telling people I'm a rap guy because I'm very bad at trivia. Like when you're like, oh, you're a rap guy? Named 3 beats. But I was very into...
Just say Beats by Dre. You got 2 right there.
Dre and his proteges, Eminem and Yellow Wolf. No, I was saying the Zach Fox album is good, which is related to today's thing because Zach Fox is always sharing Resonate co-op shit, which I think is pretty nice.
Oh yeah, that guy blew the fuck up in music as well as stand-up.
You gotta love when that happens, and you're just like, damn, maybe I'm just not talented. That's too bad.
It makes everyone feel so bad when someone's able to do that, because the thing that you tell yourself as a comic is like, well, at least I know how to do this thing that musicians don't know how to do, and then it turns out they do, and you're just a loser.
It's this fucking system.
I mean, usually when I'm watching like bands play, I feel very good for a brief moment. And I feel superior because they'll try to tell jokes and they either bomb or they kill, but it's like not because they're good at telling jokes. It's just because they have the power of a band on stage, and they'll be like, and then, they deliver a joke the worst possible way anyone could possibly do it. And then you're like, these people suck. I do this without a band. But that, like, this used to happen in Austin a lot when I lived there because it's this huge live music town. But then this guy, Mike Wiebe, came along. He's in this great band called the Riverboat Gamblers, who are like a Marked Men type of Denton, crazy, like physical punk band. Incredible front man, climbing all over the ceiling when you see him. This motherfucker started to do comedy, and he's really good. And he's a good friend of mine, and I hate him for it.
Yeah, that really is hard. I mean, one of the few pleasures I get is when you watch like a Bruce Springsteen live concert or some like huge famous musician there between songs, and then they can't bomb. You can't bomb with a crowd that loves you. That's impossible. But you do go up to 1 million people and you're like...
I have done it.
Yeah. You and Bruce Springsteen have around the same level of public adoration. That's a thing I fully believe. But you see them go up like they're like fucking the river ends, and then they're like, "Oh, I saw this is a great little old town." Flom, 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 flom.
Everyone's like, ha 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 ha
ha ha! I saw the one horse you have leave.
The boss does like to speak during his songs. Like he'll take a little break from the singing and just say stuff. And the weirdest,
that's
the most
too much.
Surreal,
don't do that.
It is, especially he did this election night, the day before the election, 2016. He was playing a rally in Pennsylvania and just like stopped the middle of the song while he's still like picking at his guitar and like named off Hillary Clinton policies.
That sucks.
Her new mortgage proposal will help families between $70,000 and $200,000 a year.
We're talking about food stamps for Pisces.
You always have to laugh when your boss is talking. So he has that going for him. Not fair.
Your life depends on it.
But he also is like he does that, like he's kind of like a one-man show guy. Like in between songs, he tells weird stories from the past, and it's part of it. So he's different. I think the ultimate of that type of performer is probably like Tom Waits, where it's like, it's a whole weird lounge show when I'm on stage. I'm just going to kick in and out of songs. People that can do that, very impressive.
Yeah. Tom Waits could definitely get away with basically anything.
Just tells a story about like a rat he saw one time in a shoe that he picked up off the side of the road. And then the piano starts twinkling.
Now at the part of the show, I break out my puppet friends. Meet Mr. Mistopheles.
Yeah. The cat from Cats.
Yeah, we all strive to be that beloved, I think. To be Anders level beloved.
Right. Anders, what do you listen to? I think we've figured out Alex is a rap guy and I'm like a punk guy.
My is, since we spent so much time trashing Spotify, my Spotify emotions were hype and angst, which I love to read at 30.
Yeah.
I like. I'm pretty eclectic. I do like rap. A lot of people are surprised by this, but the Twin Cities, where I spent my adolescence, actually has a ton of hip hop. A lot of it is very good. A lot of
Yeah.
it is not, and it's like kids who like look like me, like the 15-year-old version of me, just rapping about really hyper local references, like Minnesota be chillin'. We got Prince and Bob Dylan, like just
Damn, that's
talking
good.
about the Twin Cities.
More of
I want to
that.
get me a juicy Lucy and stick it in that pussy.
Yeah,
That's good.
Thank you.
exactly.
Fucking Atmosphere is from Minneapolis, and he's pretty cringy, but I mean, he made a few good songs, so I listened to him a lot in like high school and stuff. But I used to always, he did a thing that would break me out of the song. Like I'd be kind of into it, and then he said this thing I just made me laugh every time. In one of his songs, he's doing the rap thing where you start naming off all the different scenes, and he's like, East Coast, West Coast, down south, Midwest. And when he gets to Midwest, you're like, there's not a Midwest that we all know and love. You're being ridiculous.
There's Atmosphere and his friends.
Yeah,
Doesn't that count for anything?
The thing that always killed me with that song, Say Shh is the name of it. He was talking about Minnesota, and he lists off like every city in Minnesota except St. Paul.
Oh my God!
Yes.
The violence that must have occurred.
That's where
his
his jilted ex-lover Lucy lived there, so he never talks about it.
Right.
It
Juicy
doesn't
Lucy.
exist.
Yeah.
Oh my god! His fucking girlfriend's name was Lucy. He was talking about a sandwich this whole time.
Why can't you just have the cheese on top of the hamburger?
It's silly.
What are you trying to prove?
I like that. I don't know. I like a lot of stuff. Lately, I guess I've been listening to. It's bad to admit this now, I guess, but Norman Finkelstein was saying that you can never trust a white person who likes jazz, and I enjoy jazz sometimes. I don't know a lot about it. I just like putting it on.
I was really hoping you were going to be like, I don't like admitting this, but I've been listening to Norman Finkelstein's band.
That would be. Well, yeah, we talked about this. He does rap. He did rap. There is a video out there of him rapping.
Really good.
Norman Finkelstein from Palestine to I can't remember how it goes. Fuck. It was stuck in my head for like a week after that episode. I was just in the shower that week going, Norman Finkelstein. Norman Finkelstein. Norman Finkelstein. From the river to the sea. Norman Finkelstein.
That's right.
Andrews, tell us more about your jazz.
Well, Duke Ellington is from the city I live in. DC, of course, has a big jazz scene. I'm trying to learn more about DC Punk Fire Party. I've been listening to them recently. Go-Go. It's big in DC. I'm eclectic. I'm all over the place, You can't categorize me.
And many have tried. And they've all failed.
Yes. Many doctors. Yeah.
It's sad. Yeah, it's just a doctor looking at a chart and being like, I'm sorry, Anders, you're kind of a jazz freak.
You're an enigma.
Yeah. We need to put you in special classes.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Lee. This is his Spotify Wrapped. It's terminal. It says he's bold yet whimsical.
I had a big year musically last year because I asked Bryn Niebuhr from Stay Inside for any new music, and then she gave me one playlist, and then I got my Spotify Wrapped. It was just that playlist. It was just the one suggestion I had all year. I was like, good, we're growing.
She has good taste in music.
She's a professional musician. I would expect so.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing, is those are the only people that make it into adulthood and still kind of like have active taste in music and don't just get drunk and listen to your favorite album from high school.
COVID has been very hard for that because I have gotten drunk alone and watched music videos for Linkin Park so many times it no longer holds any joy for me. And now I'm just out here watching. I found some really good music videos last week if you have music video night. The Migos video for Walk It Like I Talk It, although I don't like that song very much, the music video is amazing. They're doing like a Soul Train thing with Drake. Very fun. I watched She-Wolf, and it got me to appreciate Shakira. All of Shakira's music is in English and Spanish, which I know we all know, but the music videos in English and Spanish, how do they make that sync up?
Did you
crazy.
see? Have you ever seen He Wolf?
He Wolf?
Yes, it is a shot-for-shot remake of the She Wolf music video made by a young man from Washington State a number of years ago, and it's very good. He made the entire set.
Kind
in
of a
his
clapback? Shakira?
Men's
Yeah.
rights, Shakira.
Well, no, it was
cover.
just it was a tribute, really. It was just like him literally doing all of Shakira's moves. The part where she bites her fingers and the sound comes in.
Halloo! Yeah, her wolf howling, by the way, not what a wolf sounds like. It's nothing like a real wolf.
When you encounter a wolf in the wild, it doesn't go woo,
Ah, woo.
like it's singing the Monster Mash. That
It's
sucks.
far less sexual than the way she does it. I don't know what she's trying to prove.
Yeah,
I
why
have
didn't
children
she
here.
howl?
The part is she wolf.
She starts
Freaks out.
barking like DMX at the audience. Speaking of wolves, they live in big empty parts of the country, like the state of Maine.
Oh, nice
Thank
segue.
you.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
wow, I'm
That's really
blown
good.
away right now. Yeah, we figured we'd have to throw one news tidbit in here. Bad news on the labor front. Janet Mills is the governor of Maine, Democrat. For a while, they had that lunatic Paul LePage, who was just out of his freaking mind, called black people the enemy and a bunch of other stuff. But Janet Mills became governor recently. They have both state legislative houses are in Democratic control, and they passed a bill through the state legislature that would allow agricultural workers in Maine to unionize and collectively bargain. Janet Mills, however, vetoed it, and you cannot make up her rationale for this. She says, I cannot in good conscience allow a bill to come law that would subject our farmers to a complicated new set of laws that would require them to hire lawyers just to understand, which is incredibly condescending. The idea that people who work in agriculture cannot read.
You're
or,
too
you know,
dumb to get it.
yeah, you don't have to hire. I don't know. I know she knows this. You don't have to hire a lawyer. Everyone knows this. Every time a law changes, you don't have to hire a lawyer. That is insane.
It doesn't
also-
make sense for any field, really. If
Yeah.
the law changes, then it's too tricky for some people.
I mean, she's just not saying that she doesn't like the law, because like bullshit, this person will introduce other laws, right? That
Right.
they have no problem putting into law and won't go, but no one understands. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's
woo.
just, It's a thing.
And another
It-
thing.
well, it
Woo.
would. We need to get Shakira to start howling at the moon. Maybe in protest of this bill, the farm workers could say, we need to collectively bargain. We need to have a union in order to prevent the wolves from destroying our crops, the crops
Right.
of the farms we work on. And she could be like, what wolves? That's not that big of a problem anymore. But Shakira could actually be dressed up like a wolf.
Yeah.
And
And no one,
yeah.
you wouldn't shoot Shakira, would you?
I
They'll
would
be
not.
like, that wolf is speaking Spanish. We got to get the law passed to get them the fuck out of here.
My
Yeah.
God, that is one of the most talented wolves I have ever seen. Purely in
Actually-
terms of hips.
It would be extremely difficult to shoot Shakira because I don't know if you know this. She's like under 4 feet tall, something like that. She's
Really?
very short.
That's
Yeah,
how she can do all those moves. Is because
There's
she's
no-
so compact.
right.
She's 3 feet tall.
Okay, maybe not that tall. Let me see. Shakira.
She's
height.
under 2 feet tall here.
There's no way.
You had to mean 5 feet tall. I just rolled with it, but
What? Okay, I'm seeing this can't
she's
be.
6'3".
Apparently, she's 5'2".
That's like
Which
kind of
cannot be.
short.
I know. I thought she was way shorter. I remember people telling me that she was like much shorter. Maybe she got height implants.
You got height implants.
That's what it is.
I'm seeing different sources. There's another source that said she's 4'11". So I don't know. Something's inaccurate here.
No, you're right. She's probably 3 feet tall, Anders. And the internet is lying.
Yeah, it doesn't change the fact we still need to dress her up like a wolf and put her in Maine, a place that is full of normal wolves.
Well, it should be down to their height.
Yeah,
She's only 3 feet tall,
Right.
like a wolf.
and wolves respect that.
Yes.
That's what this
anyway,
campaign's
it's
all
a
about.
ridiculous excuse for a law that would just increase people's rights to unionize. And, if you're worried about the lawyers, then the unions have lawyers and they can help these people know their rights. Total bullshit excuse. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a bunch of bullshit.
So who are we talking with today?
Today we are talking to people from Resonate, a cooperatively run streaming service. So think Spotify, but not evil. Run in a way where the workers and the artists get the money. Resonate. It's cool. Let's talk to the people from Resonate.
hit it.
Hi. We are now talking to Rich and Brandon from Resonate, the cooperatively run streaming service. Welcome to the show, y'all.
Hey, peace. Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So I guess off the bat, what we're curious about regarding this project is, what inspired it to begin with. Obviously, I think everyone hates Spotify, even those of us that just use it to listen to music. But can you go into a little bit of detail about what we're trying to do better than Spotify? Like, what's the problem with traditional streaming services? Also, Apple Music, YouTube, just everything that's out there right now.
Yeah, well, the project actually started in like 2015. And the founder is a fellow named Peter Harris, based in Berlin. And he was really inspired by both the platform cooperative movement, which is what we are, which is basically where you raise the money to build a platform, and then it's owned by the people that built it and put the money in it and that use it. So this movement got going like 5 years ago or so, and like people may be aware of like Drivers Co-op in New York right now, which is kind of like doing what Uber would do, but the platform is owned by the drivers. So instead of having like a huge venture capital relationship where you've got to make 50 times your profit and pay back these people, you've got something that's owned by the people that use it and work with it. And any surpluses go back to the owners, which are the people that use it and work with it. So it's that's in general the kind of platform. That's the platform co-op movement. And Peter was inspired by that. And then he was also another thing that was kind of happening in Berlin a few years ago, and it's, got different places around the world, is that like Ethereum movement and just the idea in general that you could build a better space for being online, and you could handle data in a better way, so that instead of like taking advantage of the way that people interact with things online, where their personal data is being used and then resold, which is actually the business that all the online giants have been running over the last 15 years or so, that there might be a different way to do those kinds of things. So those came all together. And then I think the streaming idea was, streaming it's kind of like radio or whatever. It's a way to get people connected to the music, to hearing it directly. You get the role of somebody that's like putting the music out there, like a DJ type person who's like curating and making it work for other people. And then, Spotify grew up in that space in the last few years. And I like to say that it's like, they're awesome because every good story needs a villain, and like, they're about as bad as could be in this area, And so it makes us, I'm trying to tell a story where like our objectives are bigger than just streaming, but streaming is definitely the service that we provide. Brandon, do you want to fill in on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think one of the things is that having clarity around like our data, like not being sold, and also being able to be in the space where we can build something collectively, like something that we want to see. I feel like it's important that people know about Resonate, that it's a work in progress. You know, like these are things that like, you know, like Spotify has like maybe like 600 to maybe 6,000 developers, you know, like working on their stuff, you know, and like we have a very small team that's super dedicated, but the things that we want to see, I think is something where like if people want to see it, like if people want to make it happen, like we can make it happen, but it has to be like a concerted effort, like amongst a crew of people, you know. And for me, I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of like Spotify, iTunes, like all of these different kind of streaming services are doing kind of like what the record labels do. Like, and, you know, artists are so far disconnected from their actual like creation, their actual labor, their actual like value, you know. And I feel like this is a way among many that like we can try to like level the playing field a bit, you know, and bring some repair like back into the situation.
Just to fully flesh out the story, because I am so curious about this, could we just talk shit about all the bad things Spotify does? Because, like, I get the general idea, but I would love some juicy details.
Well, I mean, there's a couple different things. For one, if you look at what do they look like? They got a lot of money, right? This guy Eck that runs it apparently put all this money into like a Peter Thiel virtual weapons thing, whatever. They got a lot of money, but they haven't actually made money from their service. It's the stock market money has fueled it all. So it's basically a very, very advanced form of capitalism, you know. So let's start there. Like it's the wrong kind of project. It's ultimately where I come from. I've been working around music for a long, long time. I'm a bit older than you guys, for example, but I've tended to work in the independent music space, and part of that is out of respect for music. And I think ultimately my big objection to Spotify is it doesn't put music in a proper social relation. It's disrespectful, and I don't mean to cast shame on anybody that works with it. I think that that's fine. People need to do what they need to do in this world, but it's not where I want to put my energy. So that's abstract. To be more to the point, they don't pay enough. They got all this money running around. People are paid very well. They got 6,000 employees, like Brandon said. They're paid very well. The artists are not paid. They can't manage to pay the owners 1 penny per play, which is where we start. Like we guarantee that people will get a penny a play. And we guarantee that when you listen and you pay on our service, that artist or songwriter gets that money. That's the other problem with Spotify, is that it's not a direct relation. You might be listening to a particular artist, but they don't actually get paid for your listens. It goes into this complicated system. And, you know, so that's basically called user-centric. If the user is putting the money in for a particular song, that person should get that money. That's where we come from. Finally, like what they've actually got going there, and this is also, we're very, very cautious because we want our members to tell us like how to be respectful to music. So we haven't, as we get our system going, we're really open to people telling us things like, do you even want to hear from the service, like who you should listen to? Like we're very cautious about that. Spotify, it's a marketplace, right? So they encourage you to, not only are they not paying you, but you pay them to get onto playlists and get in position to then get more listens. So in all these different ways, and then ultimately, what are they doing with the user data? They're doing it like all the other Web 2 giants. They're selling that information off. And it's not about surveillance, like they're watching me. It's not that. It's that they have the only map of all the connections about how people use music throughout their lives. And they can sell, it's like sociological data. And they've got the only map, and they sell it to whoever the highest bidder is. But why should that be held in private hands? Why shouldn't we have a more open, transparent, public world where we know what we're involved in? People can't just package it up and resell it. Anyway, these are some of the values that we bring to trying to offer a different kind of space, both in terms of media and governance and ownership. And our goal is actually like kind of long term. We want to see a different world hooked up.
Yeah, totally.
We should maybe tread lightly because we actually befriended someone from Spotify recently who was marketing us some upper tier podcast advertising.
Yeah, she said she could connect us with the Ford car company.
I'm sure that would.
We have a lot of
our
eggs in
listeners
that
would
basket.
love that if this just cut right into a commercial for GM.
Yeah, you can bleep me out if this is like against your business.
I'm totally
I'm
totally kidding. Yeah,
no, we're fucking around. We literally had a meeting with Spotify, and if we had taken it, like if the offer had been whatever the fuck they wanted to work with us, I think this would have been the first episode that would have just cut to like advertising in the middle
Wouldn't
of this conversation.
Podcast sound better than the speakers of a Ford Freestyle? I think so.
Is that a car? Wow, Ford Freestyle.
It's
but
a Toyota-thon, but go ahead.
Well, I remember I think it was the CEO of Spotify saying somewhat recently, within the past couple of years, something about how artists, they gotta burn more midnight oil. They gotta work harder. These people are not pumping out enough fucking crank, because if you're comparing, maybe not crank, but enough tunes. Because if you're comparing a musician to like a factory worker, as his sort of mindset and everything around him is sort of want to do, then yeah, it's like you're producing a simple widget, right? But that's not what music is. And I think we've seen that musicians or artists in general just don't really work with a conveyor belt mindset. And in the past, right, record labels used to give musicians they liked an opportunity to grow. So they'd say, okay, your first album is going to be a bust, but we're going to do it anyway so you can learn and so you can get better. Do you feel like Spotify has frozen out the opportunity for growth, and are you trying to promote that with your artists?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in the stage of like instant gratification. Like I feel like just with the way that the system kind of extracts, like it's like in the attention span, the like ADHD nature of like TikTok, whatever, like it's like they don't have time to like nurture an artist, because like, like the amount of wealth that they're extracting is the most in the world, like at this given like point in history, so it's like less and less caring about people, and I think, where we come at it from, it's like from a people-centric standpoint, and so like having artists being able to connect with other artists, having artists to be able to connect with other people that love music, some folks that maybe even be in the music industry, but may been of like, man, this shit has been whack. Like I haven't been able to sustain myself. Like the relationships have been fake, but a space to be able to build community and to be able to share your labor and to be able to make decisions about, your environment and the thing that you care about, and do it in a way that's you feel like it's in the right relationship, because we're building in a democratic fashion.
I have a question about structure, because you mentioned the Drivers Co-op. We've had them on the show. They're like pals of ours. They're cool. Big fan of what they're doing. I'm a big fan of co-op structure in general. But you also mentioned Ethereum, and I've been reading a lot about like DAOs, digital autonomous organizations and stuff like that, for another episode that we're doing about the whole NFT thing all week and stuff. And what's interesting to me is that the world of the blockchain, it seems to mostly skew hardcore, scary, libertarian weirdo. Most of it's, seems to be a platform for venture capital, but there's this small sliver of it that seems to also be open to decentralized ownership of, this or that. I mean, there's literally like a DAO that tried to buy like an NBA team or something like that and sort of own it somewhat in a collective fashion. So there's this somewhat level of like experimental horizontalism going on there. Is that something that's happening with the way this is structured? Is it?
It's part of our history. I want to say, number one, like, so I was so we have no relationship to blockchain. That's not our we're not involved in that, but that was part of our history, and it's also, like you say, I think that there's a lot of interesting rhetoric around digital, what do they call it, distributed ledger technology, and Ethereum in particular, and people are, capitalism is burning the whole planet down, right? So people are looking for alternative ways to organize, to move resources around, and so on. And this, I think, some of this technology looks interesting to people, and they get together and they talk about what can we build and why would we build it and so forth. Out of that, I think some really interesting values, social values and relationships have been constructed. And it's out of that I would say this project works. We were a blockchain project in 2017 and 18. And I don't know if you watched what happened in 2018, but it was one of these, the price of crypto was very high at the beginning of the year and about 1/10 at the end of the year. And this organization was nearly taken out just by its relationship to that boom and bust. And then in 2019, I went to the founder actually myself, and coming from independent projects like in the 80s and 90s, like I was associated with an organization called Sub Pop Records that
Nice.
I encountered in like 1981 was an art project, and it almost went bust in 1991. And because of the reality and power of music as a cultural force, I've been able, that's the thing, like you say, it's not a direct line. Like music is not a widget. When you're dealing with culture, you're dealing with language and possibility, and you've got a chance, I believe, to really make a change in history. And when people see that the world is fucked up, they're like, we got to make some change. And who can we turn to change? And that's where somebody like an artist, a writer, a filmmaker, a musician can actually kind of seed social change. So back it up to the Ethereum and all that. That's where we came from. I would say part of it was to parse. And the last 3 years, we've had nothing to do with that. We're interested in privacy online. We're interested in what I call digital dignity, which is basically this idea of transparency, that as you work online, it's not being taken in some other way. And also like local governance, which is really what decentralization is all about. So again, there are a lot of people in that space. There's a lot of money changing hands over there. It's not any one, I can get loud on these things, but the thing about the co-op is it's not really any one person's position. We try to look at all of these situations collectively, and among our members, there's some that are like ready to go with some kind of blockchain technology. But for the moment, I think there's a lot to do with building with communities, and kind of we recently passed a manifesto, which might be worth talking about,
Nice.
which kind of has a framework for where we are in history and how we kind of move to a new, move beyond capitalism, and how we might be able to use things like music as a way to organize to make those moves. And if blockchain is in that, maybe there's a way, but like right now, that's not where we're moving or what we're trying to build with.
Okay, so Resonate isn't run on monkey pictures. That's good to know.
If a swarm of members demand it, we'll have to hear them out,
Oh yeah, fair enough.
I am curious about like algorithms, because I feel like most of our listeners probably am uncomfortable with my metadata being, shipped around and bought by various companies and stuff. But at the same time, if I'm on like YouTube, I don't use Spotify, not because I'm above it. I literally can't figure out how to put it on my phone. But if I'm on YouTube looking up music and I'm listening to something and it suggests something else, I kind of like that, right? Do you use an algorithm that suggests other artists to people without invading privacy? And how do you envision that working?
Yeah, I mean, these are conversations that we have in our in some of our like community team meetings. And for us, it's like for people to be able to have the option, right? You can opt in or opt out of, being able to have that data collected like for your experience. Like, because we were even talking about like having more genre specific stuff play, for if you can set a tab to be able to do that, like all of these things I think we're exploring. And like, I think the main thing is just around making sure that people are clear that nothing that we do is done without your input. Like you'll have the space to be able to say I rock with this or I don't rock with it. And that's how it is.
We don't have any algorithm type stuff right now. Personally, I kind of look at the co-op and technology in general as a way to connect human beings. So personally, in my vision, we have more people. Like I would follow somebody who, because it's just like how I've run into music in my life. Like I'll find somebody and they'll tell me about something, and if I kind of trust that person, I'll check it out, and that builds relationships. So personally, I've wanted to build more of that. But to be honest, we've got people can go to resonate.coop and see what we got right now. We've got a really bare bones, almost, I say, a toy version of the service. We've got a lot to come. We're about to drop some new features and so forth for people. But, these are the kinds of questions that as a co-op, we think we can deliberate on and hopefully even provide pluralistic spaces. So if the people want that algorithm, they go to the algorithm part of the co-op, and if they want to follow a particular DJ or community, they'll be able to find those signals and follow those threads.
You mentioned you were involved in Sub Pop earlier. It kind of made me think about something. The story of like indie record labels over a number of years is that they, sort of were DIY, built from the ground up, and then eventually created art that became the mainstream as a generation of indie, fans grew up. Is that the plan here? Is this like the indie version of a Spotify, or are you literally going to try to get like Taylor Swift to put her stuff on Resonate and try to capture the entire market? Because that's kind of Spotify's deal is, look, we have everything, so where else are you going to go? What's the plan of attack here? Do you embrace being the alternative, or do you try to grow and become the entire thing?
Personally, I don't think it makes sense to compete on volume with these giants. I think we make spaces that work for people that at this time, when I'm talking about a place that's private, that doesn't use your data this way, that's democratic, that happens to be, we have to create those spaces. Those are emerging spaces. And I think the art should fit those spaces. Like I think there will be artists, if they're not already. I mean, in fact, there are artists that are very much, we have artists with millions of followers who want to see us be that platform that doesn't necessarily go for the volume of Spotify, but definitely handles, 1 million listens a day, if you will, or could take, when people hear this podcast and 100,000 people go to sign up, it doesn't crash our server. We've been building.
Don't worry.
That's why we were here. Oh, well. But yeah, no, I think that, and again, I think we very much follow, and I think Brandon can really speak to this, but we're really interested in, some of the people that we work with have a concept of dual power. Like you build in alternative spaces, you build things that actually work for people. The people that come into that space help build the space the way they want it. And you don't really, it's like, you don't have, we talked about issues with Spotify. I'm not really about trying to take down Spotify or fix Spotify. I think they're a symptom of greater problems that we best do by building something that's an alternative. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, for sure. That kind of leads me into another question I had. Something happened recently with this comedian named Kyle Kinane, who's rather famous. I think we're all big fans of him. He had all of his material purged from Spotify, kind of rendering an opportunity to host him elsewhere. Do you guys host stand-up comedy? Do you host podcasts? Are you into our stuff that we create? Is that an option?
Do you like me?
You want to get that one, Brandon?
You speak on
Well,
it.
okay. I'll say,
yeah.
like, we got our hands full with the music and the co-op, and then building with other co-ops, because that's also part of our vision. Is like, we might handle music for the people that really, stake their lives on music. That's ideally the people that are in our community. But the people that handle food or transportation, like Drivers Co-op, we really look forward to a world where, like, my co-op membership or what I've earned in this co-op, I can translate to that co-op. So that dual power thing can go pretty quick, where now, my whole lifestyle is supported by co-ops. But to be more direct about this program and so forth, we're handling music right now. But yes, I would say that we are very much committed to, building a space for alternative media. And this kind of, we don't have a lot of spoken word, and we're talking about how to incorporate that in what we offer. But the way to do it, you got to come to our meetings, and you got to sign up and make the case,
Fair enough. Let's talk about structure a little bit more. I've looked into the co-op thing myself. Something that's been a project on my back burner for a while is, like, someday I would like to start a cooperatively run comedy club. I'm saying this on the podcast in case anybody out there has money they want to throw at that idea. But somewhere along the way, you start to get into these questions of structure and, like, how things are actually run. So, how are you going about this? Are you going full Rojava? Or, does everyone have a say in how the company's run, or do you have a board of, directors or something like that? What's the hierarchy look like?
If you go to the website and you look at our terms and conditions, you'll see what we've registered with the Irish state, which is actually where we're organized. Because we were in the EU, our founder was based there. So all of our bylaws and so forth, and the directorship and how decisions are ultimately made, who we pay taxes to is is Ireland. And we're a member, our territory, our jurisdiction is in the EU, which reflects the fact that we're basically a global music project. And that's where we're evolving. But in terms of day to day, we do have an executive team. Brandon's on the team, and we're building our processes. We have a member election every year. We just had one in December. Folks can actually watch the proceedings of that membership, that annual general membership meeting, and ultimately, like, we've got a ways to go. I think we expect to be profitable in 2 years if we build the way we'd like to build. And at that point, part of the membership will then decide, or rather the membership as a body will decide, what do we do with these surpluses? Do we reinvest? Do we pay people out on top of their earnings or whatever? So that's the general answer.
Yeah, cool.
Do these membership meetings ever get spicy? Discord.
Not spicy enough. So far, everybody's. I mean, I don't mean to be funny, but like seriously, the people that are committed to it really want to see this happen, and we've got differences of opinion on things at a certain point, but so far everything we put up in the last 3 years that I've watching has been passed unanimously. So,
oh wow,
I'm worried about the spice, but we'll deal with the spice.
Well, yeah, because that seems like that's always the thing you have to know how to deal with in a cooperative organization, is how to deal with dissent and disagreement, and how to manage it and move on from it, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that for me, I think, is the thing that makes it a bit more challenging. I mean, when you have a hierarchical structure, when you got a boss, you can move a lot more efficiently because one person decides, but like when everybody's a part of the decision making, it's like you're trying to take into account, and like, we're global. So it's like people have different perspectives, different life experiences, different understandings of the same issues, so it takes time, and like, for me, I think it's a thing around like nurturing a feeling, a community of care. And like, we can make decisions. Yes, the world is burning around us, and we can figure out how to navigate it together. But we gotta do that, like, and be real with each other and be honest.
Yeah.
Well, if we did our job at all, people might be listening to this and thinking, I would like to listen to music on Resonate and not on some other shit. How do they do that? And how does it work? Do they get unlimited listens if they subscribe, or is there a credit system? Well, how's it work?
Yeah, so you go to resonate.coop and you basically, you set up a wallet. And so you put because we're registered in Europe right now, you'll see €5 is the minimum purchase to put in your wallet. Actually, you get a few credits for free to check out the service. Then you fire up the player, and the way we do it is kind of a blend. It's kind of like if people are familiar with Bandcamp, it's a little bit extra or something like that. Like, the first listen is really small in terms of what the credit that comes out of your wallet. It's like about a fifth of a penny. Now, we guarantee that the artist will get at least a penny for every listen. So, but we kind of finance it so that you can begin by exploring those tracks, and people are paid, but it only costs the user a little bit to explore, because we want to encourage that. But so then the first listen is a fifth of a penny. The second is 2/5 of a penny, 4/5 of a penny, and it doubles each time. So then it's like one. I forget where I was at, but it's like 1.2 pennies, 2.4 pennies, etc., up to the ninth listen, which is then you purchase the track and pay no more for it. And so it ends up, a track is about $1.25 that you pay in total. So you earn that, you pay for that over listening 9 times. So the way it seems to work is that people do cruise around. It doesn't cost very much, but there is money being paid to the artists. People tend to then buy those tracks, or at least listen to them enough to finance it. So we meet that guarantee that every artist gets a penny per play. And that's basically how it works. I'll say that, like, this is our offer right now. This is what we're building for. And, again, because we're a co-op, if people feel it's not working, we'll figure out a different offer. But this is what we're building for right now.
And if you are a musician, how do you get your stuff on Resonate? Is it you can just upload it? Do you need to go through like an American Idol style panel of judges, or how do they do it?
Yeah, there's no panel, but you do submit. Right now, we're like the toy version. We've got an uploader in development, but right now you put your stuff up, and we've got nice people, volunteers, that will connect with you and get your stuff on the service.
Cool.
Let's see.
Could we hear some? Because I think we said we were going to talk about the manifesto at some point. Could we hear some of those planks?
You want them to recite the manifesto?
Well, Anders, you can't just ask to see planks. It's rude.
You said did you say earlier we would? Sorry, not word for word, but what is the basic gist of the manifesto?
I think so. For me, I think it's about like putting music and like the act of like engaging and listening with music, the culture around music, into like a global kind of social political perspective, and making sure that like whatever way we're trying to move in right relationship with the earth and like its ecosystem, and like making clear, like also too, that like a lot of shit has been fucked up, like just in terms of like how we relate to each other, and how people are exploited from and like dispossessed. It's like it's incumbent upon us, like us having this tool, this space to be able to use music as a tool to be able to help transform things. That's kind of, I feel like, the spirit of the manifesto. It's like, all of these systems that like kind of just take your art, keep producing. Like you only on one end of the supply chain, like we're trying to make people fully human, and engage in the process of like you're creating stuff, but you're also producing stuff. You're also you're not getting a wage. You're not working for somebody. You're working with each other. And I feel like that's the spirit in which like I feel like the manifesto is created. And like when people come to resonate, I feel like it gives them a sort of precursor of what kind of vibe it is and like what we're trying to do over here.
I mean, because to be honest, like the concept of property and capitalism itself, and what seemed to happen was that a pope in the 16th century claimed divine authority to dispense a license to the kings of Spain, that they then conscripted some agents to go to North America and claim on behalf of this divine authority. There was some stuff happened. I think the Spanish Armada got sunk in a storm, and the British ended up owning those claims, and there were wars. And so anyway, this whole thing, like the people in North America never like their concept of property was never established. They've just been subjugated by these European claims that have funded imperialism and capitalism. So we need to understand that music is much older than capitalism. Music is a human construct, and all of these claims that are basically, through, the Treaty of Westphalia or whatever, like those are superstitious. Those are made up. And if we're going to make it through this moment in history, we got to reflect on where these concepts of value, assets, all this stuff came from. And on the one hand, yeah, people got to get paid under this present system, but we also need to be mindful of how do we actually get the value, repair the trauma that's happened over the last 500 years, be respectful of the communities that still survive, and not only respectful in like a way of, we got to take care of folks, but like, in fact, there are people that have been in, like, as Brandon said, in right relation to their local communities, their local spaces in the earth and the other flora and fauna around them that have a lot to teach and are actually been the source of the music that, these other folks come along and claim under intellectual property, Yeah. So we're trying to really be, offer a transitional space that, takes advantage of certain business conditions like we find them, make it sustainable, make it work. People are used to paying for things. Let them pay for the music, let artists earn. But ultimately, if we really build out a cooperative relation to each other and our place in the world, we should be able to manage transaction to support people that doesn't necessarily meet the capitalist scheme of logic. So that's really, I think that our manifesto at least signals to that, and hopefully shows people who where would American pop music be if it weren't for the African diaspora? It wouldn't. But how much American pop music, how much of these labels have actually supported the communities that are, the descendants of the people that created the culture? It hasn't happened.
Sir, have you not heard Billy Joel? Did you not know Kenny Chesney? I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
You make strong arguments. You make very strong arguments.
Actually, Billy Joel would not exist if it had not been for that. So just Kenny Chesney, I think, is what we're dealing with.
Although, yeah, hard to say.
Who's the whitest musician we can think of? We don't have the time. Okay,
Steve
so
Reich. I mean, there's the alpha, the omega of whiteness. It's hard to.
Those are some scary words you're throwing around, my friend. Let's see. Rounding out here, does anybody else have any questions before we kind of put a pin on this?
I'm still thinking about the whitest artist thing. It's going to take a few more
What's the thing?
minutes.
Is it Steve Reich or
Who the hell is that?
It's these
a composer.
intangible terms. It's probably Steve Reich from what I'm hearing.
He's a composer. That's very different from Garth Brooks,
The
right?
final Reich.
Who is the omega of the whitest
You
song
got to
ever.
stop using these scary white power sounding words to describe a man named Steve Reich.
I think Jonathan Lebensraum is making some of the best stuff out there right now.
Oh, J-Levs. All right. Cool. Well, I guess, thank you for joining us. It sounds like a really great project. I know I'll sign up myself. Definitely agree with, I think, your point of view on the nature of art and how it pertains to this stupid system that we're all trapped in, known as capitalism. So thank you for joining us. And please let our listeners know one more time how they can find Resonate, how they can find y'all if you want to promote your own social media and stuff like that. Whatever you need to promote, go for it.
Cool. Yeah. Thank y'all for having us. I'll let Rich handle the handles. You can find me though. Twitter is at Leon Gray _ and Instagram is Brandon King. No vowels, no spaces. And yeah, I appreciate this conversation. Y'all giving us the opportunity to share, about what we're doing. Y'all
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so resonate.coop, Resonate Co-op on Twitter. I think it's Resonate. I'm going to say Resonate Cooperative or Resonate Co-op on Instagram. Personally, I've got some services there, but I'm looking to be on Mastodon and PeerTube. So you can look for Rich Jensen in those spaces, and I'll be there. And
as always, our listeners know all that stuff is in the show notes. So if you immediately forgot it because of your adult onset ADD, look in the notes below the podcast, and you can find everything you need.
In the words of Madonna, music makes the people come together. Yeah. Great
Is that
lyrics.
the whitest musician you could think of?
Oh, that's a good point. I don't think so, honestly. But
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
around.
y'all.
Peace.
Right on.
Okay.
Peace, y'all.
The Resonate Co-op, everybody. Give it up. Give it up for everyone you've seen tonight.
music makes the people
Come together. We're gonna get literally flagged and charged by Spotify for having sung that on the podcast.
I just said it. I just did it in. Oh yeah, I guess I did just sing it just now.
No, the robot can hear the notes, and you just violated intellectual property.
I was quoting someone.
If you take
great
little,
quote.
They're gonna take our money and inject it directly into Madonna's huge new ass.
Nice.
she looks great for her age. Good for her.
Too
She's
good.
using science to defy the will of God, which I approve of.
I think it's pretty cool. I just wish that she would engage in cooperative music selling.
That would be sick
structures.
if Madonna went on Resonate. Maybe that's what this will end up resulting in. So, by accident, I ended up getting them a huge, partner.
I heard she listens to this podcast. She's a big head. She says it's finished and stuff.
Yeah. I'm one of the damned.
Yeah,
She says, it's finished.
It's finished. Is that what she sounds like? That's your Madonna
It's
impression?
finished. Well, she doesn't really sound like anything. Boys.
She's like a fake. No, she's like a fake British accent.
Boys.
Oh, yeah.
But now I think she kind of talks normally. But I don't know. All I know is she has an X-rated book from the 80s with Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, you've brought this up on the show a few
Have
times.
I? Okay.
What's an
You love
important
that book.
lesson, dude? Get out there. I mean, she's listening. We just discussed this, and now she's joining the Resonate Co-op. I would guess glamour stars of the 80s are going to be the most difficult target to get on your cooperative music enterprise, but what do I know? I'm just some fuck.
I just
people
thought of
like
it earlier. I was trying to come up with white artists to counter something they said. And I just, when you think of the joke like an hour later, I should have said Does the name Jason Mraz mean nothing to you, sir?
Yeah, that's good.
There we go. Though I bet there are a lot of, sort of Cuban exile types who like Jason Mraz.
I've actually seen the SoundCloud receipts, and we have a lot of listens in Mrazmania.
Mrazdan?
My friend Ryan County, one time for his birthday, he put an ad on Craigslist that he wanted to hire a Jason Mraz impersonator to come play at this pool party he was having in his backyard. And someone totally did it. This guy showed up. I don't know if he already was a Jason Mraz impersonator or he was just an actor and a musician who was like $100, huh? And but he nailed it. He came in with the little fedora thing and sang that song that's in Viagra commercials and stuff, and did not break character for an hour and then
that
left.
Kicks ass, dude. They have a whole host of people who just live on Hollywood Boulevard, and they have a mirror in their room, and they wake up, there's no other decorations, and they look at it every morning and they go, "You must be formless," and those people nail every audition.
True. There should be a co-op for them.
Yeah, Gary Oldman co-op.
Impersonate.
Yeah, you got the faces on the wall, the faceless man in Game of Thrones. Remember that? Remember Game of Thrones?
Oh man, yeah, I do. There was so much hope in the world back then.
The liberal left wants you to forget Game of Thrones.
Let's do plugs and get out of here, everyone. I'll go first. I have a show tentatively, unless it gets canceled because of Omicron, on the 18th of January. That's this coming Tuesday at the Gutter in NYC in Brooklyn in Williamsburg, Greenpoint area. It's my birthday, and I'm starting a show unless Omicron and COVID sort of kill comedy again permanently again. We'll see. I don't know. If you get a ticket, it'll be refunded if we cancel it. And I'm also going on tour with Eve 6. All of the same tentative rules apply to that too. That's in April and May. And my other shows, Why You Mad? And I'm Feral Jokes on Everything. You know that. That's it.
Okay, I got one. I think I announced this last week, but I'm back at it again. The Theater of Delight Season 4 Kickstarter is off to a bang start. We are around 30% funded already. Thank you to everybody who donated. For a small donation, you can produce the 4th season of the hit audio drama Theater of Delights. All your favorite characters, all the drama of yesteryear. Will you be the one to unlock such emotions? Find out at kickstarter.com/theater of delights. It's also pinned on my Twitter at Patak Test Kitchen on twitter.com.
I am at Anders Leher on Twitter, Dursley1 on Instagram. My other show is Redacted Tonight. You can find it on RT America if you have cable in select cities. Also, YouTube and portable.tv.
Damn, I'll be hitting that link to watch Anders some more. I like talking to Anders on Zoom and then logging off and just watching him. Just taking it all in.
I don't
You don't have the separate window going like I do?
I stroke the screen. That's why I had to have my camera turned off this episode. So I could
dual
just
Andersing.
Caress my sweet Anders.
You can get brain damage from that.
Well, fudge.
It's a fiend. That's not Madonna's voice. I made her Italian. It's finished, mate.
Down on my knees, it's finished.
It's music.